We're in Way Media.
Hello, twisted humans. Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked.
Hello and welcome to episode 182 of your favorite podcast. We are doing a special topic, my special topic today. The special topic was manslaughter. And I have been wanting to talk about this specific case for a while, so I'm using this special topic to finally touch on it. It's current and crazy. There will most definitely be updates in the future, but it is an instance where someone is on trial or going back to trial for a manslaughter case. Before we get into it, we have to do fun facts.
Well, my fun fact is short and sweet because yesterday we recorded our December's. We read it, and if you're not a patron already, you definitely need to go check it out. It is spicy holiday fun. That said, she warned me that we were going to, quote, be here all night, so this is going to be a long episode, guys. So my fun fact is short and sweet and about reindeer. But my explanation for why I picked it is not short and sweet. I recorded with our friend Kadra yesterday from Perplexity Podcast, and I told her that I didn't think reindeer were real animals. If you are new here, yes, I'm an idiot. If you're not new here, you can laugh at that memory. But this is from the book 853 Hard to Believe Facts. That was a recommendation from our patron, Becky. And it is that reindeer have 10,000 hairs per square inch on their body. They insulate very efficiently and help them survive extremely cold temperatures. I think this will now make my third reindeer fun fact, but they're actually fucking magical. Their eyes change color. They're super furry and warm like teddy bears. I don't see any wrong with them.
Approximately how many square inches are reindeer? I wonder.
How many square inches are reindeer? Oh my God, Google's like, that's not a regular question.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer
what the
that.
fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, no, it doesn't give me reindeer in square
inches. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Interesting,
but they are about
though.
27 inches tall at the shoulder. So, that gives you a rough estimate.
That's a lot. That's
height.
a lot of hair.
A lot of hair.
A lot of hair.
I'd like to snuggle with one.
Yeah.
I now understand Sven appeal.
Oh, for sure.
In Frozen. Other than him just being comic relief.
Right.
What is your fun fact?
It is that the dandelion, it says is the only flower, but probably not. The dandelion is a flower that represents the three celestial bodies of the sun, moon, and stars. The yellow flower resembles the sun. The white puffball resembles the moon. And the dispersing seeds resemble the stars when they're like all separated and going out. Which is coincidental since we wish on both the stars and when blowing dandelion seeds. Isn't that so cute?
I love that. That's the cutest fun fact ever.
We need a little cuteness in this story today.
I'm feeling that way, just based on the special topic alone.
Definitely. We also need drinks. So what are you drinking?
I am drinking a spin on my favorite holiday cocktail to have with my family, mixed with a sangria. It does have similar ingredients that we've used in past winter sangrias, but it is ginger simple syrup. And then you are going to add cranberries and orange slices to that. I didn't have regular orange, so I have mandarin oranges in mine. Citrus vodka of choice. You can use lemon vodka, is what the recipe called for, but I only had orange vodka, so that's what I've got in here. Then you're going to add a little bit of cranberry and orange juice, and then your wine, and then you're going to top it with either a ginger beer to take that ginger flavor spike to the next level, or if you're feeling something a little tamer, because some people find ginger beer spicy, you can just use ginger ale or soda water. And then I also have added a sprig of rosemary for that little holiday flavors. So
Did
my
you
family drinks
do?
ginger beer
Mhm.
holiday mules every year with gin and, ginger
Okay.
beer and simple syrup and all that good stuff. So
Is that what you use as ginger beer or ginger ale?
I use ginger beer because
Yeah.
I love ginger.
Me too. I think that the Moscow mules are like one of the most elegant and delicious drinks when you go out. Like
I
I
agree.
truly think that they're so
And the
good.
copper glass is
Yes, it
just
looks
perfection.
good. It's not anything like super, gonna give you heartburn or gonna make you
Yeah.
feel full or gonna make you too sugary. Like it's perfect.
It's
It's really good.
perfect. It's
Nobody
earthy.
So many
I think
places
that's why.
here don't have ginger beer. And so we can never get a Moscow Mule here. And I'm like even at the bar, I'm like, God, bunch of freaking rednecks around here.
So what you're saying is that I need to find a way to ship you ginger beer. All
Yeah,
right.
we have bought ginger beer from like the grocery store to make our own. Not good. They're not good ones. The
best one, if
best
you like the spicier ones,
uh
it comes in an orange bottle, and I don't know if they have it in the
you'll
US.
have
I'm
to
gonna Google it right now.
send me the link or something. But yeah, the best Moscow Mule I've ever had was in Nashville when we went to Chris Kirkpatrick's birthday party. That was the best ginger beer I ever had. It was probably, some high-end fancy place. I don't even remember the name of it, but it's great.
The brand is called The Great Gentleman, which
Okay.
I've only ever purchased this brand my entire life, and I've never known that that's what it's called. But it is an orange box with a man with a mustache with an eye
Okay.
patch on it, and it is called The Great Gentleman.
If I see it, that's the one I'll be getting.
Even though I put ginger simple syrup in this, but this tastes like a Christmas Moscow Mule with red wine. Like, it's fucking delicious.
Sounds delicious. I'm drinking.
Yum! Yeah. Hey, little rewards, guys. Little rewards. They're everything.
Okay, we are going to get into this case in just a second. First, we're going to take a little break to hear a promo from a trial by podcast. I first learned of this case straight from, who guessed it, TikTok and YouTube, because the first original trial for this case was recorded and uploaded to those places. It is trial footage that I have been following. Have you heard anything about the death of John O'Keefe?
I've heard the name, but I have not actually heard anything about it.
Perfect. I don't want you to have any bias one way or the other when I'm telling you this.
Okay.
So, there are a lot of names in this case, so I apologize. And also, you might want to write them down if you have a hard time following. It's a lot, for real. But I'm going to do my best to make sure you know who is who as I'm talking about everybody. Also, I'm not going to use some of the names that aren't pertinent to the case. So I extra apologize to anyone in John's family whose names I don't use. You all matter very much. It is very obvious that you love John dearly, but to keep it less confusing, I'm just not mentioning everyone by name. They didn't do anything wrong. There's no reason for us to, know all their information
Drag their
anyway.
names into a already heated case.
Right.
I get it.
Okay, so it is a slightly mysterious death because how exactly John O'Keefe died is still being debated. The police think they've got it figured out, while much of the public thinks that the police officers who investigated this case are very wrong. There are at least 3 different things that could have caused John O'Keefe's death. There's the one that the public believes, the one that the defense believes, and the one that the prosecution believes. But as the saying goes, there are 3 sides to every story: yours, mine, and the truth. So which of these is the truth? We may never know for sure. John O'Keefe III, who was affectionately called JJ or Johnny, was born on December 8th, 1975, and raised in Massachusetts. He finished high school, went on to college for a bachelor's degree, and then continued his education at UMass for his master's in criminal justice. He became a Boston police officer in about 2006, if my math is right, and maybe his first few years were simple and good for him. But 2013 was definitely a very rough year. John's sister passed away from a brain tumor that year, leaving her husband to take care of John's 6-year-old niece and 3-year-old nephew. And then,
Aw.
just 8 days after that, John's close friend and partner completed suicide. A tragedy that many officers, and especially in Boston, eventually decide to go through with. When I say partner, I mean like on the road cop
Yeah.
partner. Okay, just making sure.
Which is like a bond like no other.
Right.
Oh.
Because of this sad incident, John became very close with the girlfriend and child that his partner left behind, even becoming his son's godfather. Laura
Oh.
Sullivan, partner's then girlfriend, thought of John as a brother figure, and they, along with a bunch of others from the friend and family group when the partner was still alive, went on a yearly trip to Aruba to catch up and hang out and let loose. Before 2013 ended, there was one more traumatic experience that John had to live through, and it would change his life forever. John's brother-in-law, who had just lost his wife, right, John's sister, had a heart attack that took his life. Same year, 2013, he lost his sister, his partner, then his brother-in-law. And suddenly, John's niece and nephew were orphans. A friend of John's remembered this time and remembered John saying, quote, "I'm taking the kids. I think people doubt I will see it through because I'm a bachelor, but I'm going to raise them as my own. So what do I feed them and what time do they go to bed? Seriously, though, let's hear more about this potty training stuff," end quote, laughing through the pain at the end.
That's beautiful and so sad.
This is the kind of person he was, you know? Like, he just lost 3 really close people to him, and he's like, we can do this, I'm going to laugh, it's going to be fine.
Those kids are lucky to have them.
After John took custody of his niece and nephew in 2014, he transferred to a suburb on the outskirts of Boston called Canton and took a safer police position instead of being a cop out on the busy streets of Boston. About 6 years later, he and an old, possibly more than friend, Karen Reed, rekindled their whatever it was and started seeing each other in 2020. They were about 39 and 44 at this time, and both single, so things seemed to move pretty fast. Karen had her own place, but very early into the relationship, she was staying over at his place and helping him raise his niece and nephew. The relationship between John and Karen was not a great one. They had both previously been single and childless. Then suddenly, John is learning to be a dad, and Karen comes in to help play mom. They clearly had some issues and were understandably stressed out, but all in all, they probably just weren't a good fit together, period. It seemed that both of them had jealousy issues as well as trust issues with each other. John's brother remembers that whenever Karen came around the rest of the family and drinks were involved, Karen and John argued a lot and aggressively, or as aggressively as words can be, never physically hurting each other in anyone's view.
Sometimes words are more hurtful.
Right.
And to clarify, he had dated this woman previously.
Yes.
Or had
It's
some sort of
something.
relationship. Yeah.
Yes. Even Laura Sullivan, the mother of John's godson, and her sister recalled an event in Aruba in which Karen's drinking led her to be rude and nasty, accusing John of kissing one of the girls and telling them to go fuck themselves. Even though their relationship was one filled with arguments, Karen and John still tried to make it work. Probably because the children had already been through a lot, losing both parents. They both loved those kids. But staying together didn't stop Karen from thinking about being with someone else. She definitely had had a flirtatious back and forth with an ATF agent named Brian Higgins, who was friends with both Karen and John. She even shared a kiss with him once when he was at John's house to watch a football game. They texted often for a few days before Karen ghosted him, probably regretting her decisions and wanting to get back to the real world with her and John's relationship. It happens. Just a few days after Karen ghosted Brian, Karen and John go out for drinks and to talk about the state of their relationship at a bar, where they were seen hugging affectionately and seemingly making up from the "where is this relationship going" conversation. Then they left that bar and continued together to the Waterfall Bar and Grill in Canton, Massachusetts. This is in 2022, by the way. I didn't put that in there. While there, they ran into some of John's police buddies. When I say police buddies, I'm thinking of this like they just knew each other from work and in passing. I'm not positive how close they were, but they didn't seem like they were super close. It's hard to tell, though. The others were there to celebrate a child's birthday party. An older child, like 17, maybe 18, but still definitely a minor, not drinking age. In attendance was a Boston cop named Brian Albert and his wife, Nicole, who were the birthday boy's parents. Brian Albert's brother and his wife, Chris and Julie Albert, as well as Nicole, birthday boy's mom's sister, and her husband, Jennifer and Matthew McCabe. Their children were there too, the cousins of the birthday boy, and a few of his friends. And then the last person was Brian Higgins. The same Brian Higgins that is friends with John enough to come over to watch football with, but not close enough to not try and steal his girlfriend. Brian Higgins is very good friends with Brian Albert, close enough that he got invited to go out and celebrate the Albert son's birthday. Are we following so far?
Yes.
Okay.
And it sounds like this birthday party is going to be a time.
I would think that things would get a little awkward with the fact that Higgins was keeping a secret of having recently kissed his friend John's girlfriend, and that girlfriend, Karen, had just ghosted Higgins. Now they're all hanging out. But apparently it wasn't too awkward because by the time the bar and grill was closing at 12 a.m., John and Karen were being invited back to the birthday boy's parents' house to do some more drinking. The Albert house. Apparently they were invited by the mom's sister, Jennifer McCabe. Jennifer said that her daughter was friends with John's niece, who he was raising. Hang on, my dogs are barking. Jennifer said that her daughter was friends with John's niece, who he was raising, so she knew John and Karen through interactions with their children. But this is basically where everything becomes confusing and quite literally impossible to figure out. So impossible that even a jury couldn't do it. Karen had somewhere between 4 and 9 mixed drinks at the bar and grill. 4 and 9, okay? From what I can tell based on the bit of trial footage I watched, she only remembers having 4 before pretty much blacking out. But others said that she had more, and possibly even her bar tab had rung up 9. Now, that doesn't mean that they were all hers. I'm actually quite certain that at least one was John's, unless he had his own bar tab, because he is reported to have only been drinking beer all night, but is also separately reported to have grabbed a whiskey glass off the table to bring it with him when he left the bar. And I don't think he took an empty one to seal because he carried it around. He didn't put it away after this. I think he picked up his own drink to bring it with him to continue drinking. So they all went to Brian Albert's place, driving, in various states of drunkenness. John and Karen were the last ones to make it there because John was waiting on the address to be sent to him from his niece's friend's mom, homeowner sister-in-law, Jennifer. Karen drove. It was snowing. She was clearly drunk, but she made it to the Albert house. One thing that comes up later is that Brian Albert's brother and his wife, Chris and Julie, they say that they did not go to the after party. They told the police that they followed the others there to the house, I guess to make sure they got there safely, and then they went home. They left all that extra stuff out in their testimony to the jury, simply saying they did not go into the Brian Albert's house that night. They were not there. That becomes relevant eventually. So if what they're saying is true, Brian Albert, Boston cop, and his wife Nicole, Nicole's sister Jennifer and her husband Matthew McCabe, both couples' children, a few minor friends of the birthday boy, and Brian Albert's bestie, Brian Higgins, ATF agent, who kissed Karen at John's a while ago, were all at the house when Karen and John arrived. We got it? Okay. Obviously, John is no longer here to verify what happened, and Karen was blackout drunk. But what we know for sure is that John got out of the car. Karen did not, at the house. After a few minutes of sitting in the car, Karen left without John. Sometimes it is hypothesized that Karen didn't want to go to this after party and was just dropping John off. Sometimes it is said that Karen was planning on attending with John, but told him to go in first and make sure it was actually okay with the owner of the house, not just the owner's sister-in-law, which is who invited them, for them to even be there.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
What Karen slightly remembers is driving to Brian Albert's house, John getting out, then driving to John's house, and John not being there when she woke up in the morning. She didn't remember why exactly she was so pissed at John that night, but based on her voicemails, she clearly was. When she got back to John's house after dropping him off at the Alberts, starting at about 12:37 a.m., which is verified as the time that her phone connected to John's home Wi-Fi. She got home at 12:37 a.m. Karen called John many times. One source said over 50 times.
Oh my God.
She left him 8 voicemails.
Back to back. Oh God.
She left him 8 voicemails and sent him text messages. The voicemails said things like, John, I expletive hate you. Obviously, it didn't say expletive. I don't know what word it is, though, because they didn't tell me.
I'm going to guess fucking.
Yeah. And, John, I'm here with the expletive kids. Nobody knows where the expletive you are. You expletive pervert. And also,
I'm going to go with all the F-bombs.
John, I'm going home. I cannot believe something inaudible. I need to go home. You are expletive using me right now. Your expletive another girl, name redacted, is sleeping next to me. You're a expletive loser. Expletive yourself. She liked to say fuck yourself, so.
I'm guessing, yeah.
The text messages starting at about 12:55 said things like, I'm going home. Or, your kids are expletive alone. Or, I'm back in Mansfield. The kids are home alone. She was not back in Mansfield, but obviously trying to trigger him to feel the need to get home quickly. He never did, though. On the morning of January 29th, 2022, when Karen woke up at John's house at nearly 5 a.m. and he wasn't there, she was actually worried. No more angry, jealous, drunk girlfriend. She knew that he would never stay out all night, risking the safety of his niece and nephew, unless he was in some sort of danger or trouble. And it had snowed heavily all night long. She started calling around looking for him, calling police to see if they had arrested him, and eventually called Jennifer McCabe. Carrie Roberts, random person, Jennifer's friend, came and picked up Karen with Jennifer to help her look for John. They got into Carrie's car, but noticed before leaving that Karen's rear passenger light was broken, though she didn't remember hitting anything. Carrie, by the way, not at the party or anything. This is just a random friend who also knows John McCabe because her kid is friends with John's... Sorry, did I just say John McCabe?
Yeah.
John O'Keefe, because her kid is friends with John O'Keefe's niece.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
But she's there relevant. I gotcha.
In the morning time, yes. Now she's there. She was not at the party.
Gotcha.
At first, as they're driving, Karen didn't even remember driving to the Alberts' house the night before, but Jennifer reminded her, and so they headed straight there to look for John. As soon as they pulled up to the house, Karen noticed a mound of snow piled up with something black underneath, and she immediately recognized it as John's clothes, John's body. The other two women, Carrie, the driver, and Jennifer, say they didn't even notice it until Karen ran to the mound of snow. Karen's first instinct was to warm him up. She brushed the snow off of him, noticing some of the snow was bloody, and she pulled his cold clothes away from his body, placing her own warm, bare skin on his. As she warmed him up, the other girls called 911 and reported that they had found what they had assumed was a dying person in the front yard of Brian Albert, the house with the after party. When first responders get to the scene, the ambulance takes John to the hospital immediately, while the others attempt to piece the scene together. At some point, Karen says something like, "Did I hit him?" or "I hit him." Multiple people have reported hearing the words, "I hit him," come from Karen's mouth, but it's not clear if it was a statement or a question. They all claim something different. But in the hospital, John is reported to have died of blunt force trauma and hypothermia. He had very deep scratches on his arms, facial lacerations and bruises, 2 black eyes, scratches on his hands, and the blunt force that caused his death was to the back of his head. The investigator immediately assigned to this case was Trooper Michael Proctor. And there's a lot to say about this man.
Good or bad?
He's
I'm gonna go with bad.
He's the kind of man that you're like, fucking men, you know?
Oh, gross. Like, did she hit him? Like, okay, the car taillight is a weird thing for me because I'm like, were they fighting and it got broken in a fight?
Let's talk about it. So, firstly, Trooper Michael Proctor, his sister is good friends with Julie Albert, who, if you remember, was at the bar, maybe followed everyone to the house, but didn't go in. She left.
Yeah.
The two women were such good friends that even Trooper Michael Proctor was at Chris and Julie's wedding with the entire rest of the Albert family.
Like, is the whole fucking town at this party? Like, pretty much? Like,
No, only
Jesus.
2 families were at the party.
Yeah.
Like, they were
But the
related.
after party.
No, that's it, though. The after party's over. Those are the only people there. It's just that they know a lot of people, I think.
Okay.
Because,
Okay.
I mean, he's a cop. Of
I
course they
don't
know a
know
lot
this
of people.
many people, but
Right.
yes. So I'm just like, how does this keep connecting? How are all their kids connected?
Mhm.
Like, how big of a neighborhood are we dealing with here? Oh, God.
So, Trooper Michael Proctor was at Chris and Julie Albert's wedding. You would think that a crime scene being on the front lawn of a family that you have partied with at a wedding would make that specific investigation a conflict of interest. I would think that.
I 100% would think that, yeah.
Trooper Michael Proctor did not think so. He fully investigated this case. He's like, it's fine. Everything's fine. He also didn't think it was necessary to bother the family living at the address where John's body was found in the front yard.
What?
In Proctor's mind, this was an open and shut case. We know this because he admitted it, but also because he immediately started texting his sister and his old high school friends about the open and current investigation that he's already figured out. It's fine. Before I tell you what this open and shut answer to what just happened to John O'Keefe was, can you guess? What do you think they thought happened to John O'Keefe? Just instantly easy peasy.
That he got into a fight and got knocked out?
You
That he
might think.
passed out in the snow? Like, I don't know.
Let me tell you.
That one of the neighbors
'Cause I
told them
feel
to
like-
quiet down, and John went over and was like, "Don't tell us what to do." They got into a fight, and
I
this
feel
is
like
where
you're
we are.
smarter than every police officer on that scene. Okay.
Oh, God.
Trooper Michael Proctor was putting together a report that Karen Reed had killed John O'Keefe by hitting him with her vehicle when he got out of the car that night, and then leaving him there to die in the snow. He
But
believed
scratches.
he believed it was purposeful, and her motive that she was angry and fed up with their relationship and fighting, and she just snapped. She was arrested pretty quickly and was being charged with second-degree murder, meaning she intended to kill him but did not plan it beforehand, leaving the scene of a fatal crash because she left him there knowingly, and manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle under the influence because he died while she was driving drunk. Weird that they can charge her with murder and manslaughter, but that's the way the law works.
Apparently.
This is the prosecution's belief during the trial. I told you there's 3 sides to this. This is side number 1, okay?
If you guys don't already have your red string boards ready, get them ready.
Goodness gracious. Just wish I could. We're going to get there. Just wait till you
Why
hear.
weren't we assigned to this case?
Your jaw is going to be on the ground by the time I'm done. I'm so glad you hadn't heard much of this. Okay. So when Karen was taken in that same day, originally just for questioning, they did a breathalyzer on her, and her blood alcohol content was at 0.07. 0.08 is the legal drinking limit, so it is below that, but she admitted to driving
But
the
it's
night
the next day.
before. Yeah. So that would have put
That's
her
like
at
one of
about
those nights that you
double
wake
that.
up and you're still tipsy,
Very much. Very much.
which are terrible. Don't do that. Don't drink so much that you wake up the next morning
And
still
definitely
drunk.
don't fucking drive while doing it, okay? Don't
The
fucking do
fact
that.
that they're all in law enforcement and that this even happened is
Does it
still
honestly
unbelievable to me.
surprise you, though?
No,
Honestly.
it
Like,
I feel like
on
it
the
should.
surface,
So I'm
yes.
saying it
Deep
does, but
down, we knew.
no,
Yeah.
no. And it's so unfortunate too because John seems like such a wonderful person. Like these all seem like regular families. Yeah, Karen has her angry drinking problems. A lot of people I know do.
Right. A little more information from the scene of the crime. They found pieces of glass from a whiskey glass that John O'Keefe
Hmm.
left the bar with near his body. That's why I said he carried it around. They found it next to him. The officers on scene, not having their equipment with them, and I guess scared the snow would melt away their evidence, asked the neighbors for containers that they could collect evidence in. They used
Like Tupperware?
They used red Solo cups to scoop up bits of blood-covered snow, then place those cups in paper bags from the gas station. Mighty fine police work right there, let me tell you.
Were they barehanded while they were at it? Like,
Also, a week after the incident, a random police officer who happened to be friends with Brian Albert, the homeowner and Boston cop, and Brian Higgins, the kisser ATF that got ghosted, this officer found a red piece of plastic while driving past the Alberts' house, and it happened to be consistent with Karen Reed's taillight that was broken. Like a week and a half later, he's like, "Hey, I found this. Do you guys need it? Oh, this is
and by
taillight."
like happenstance, he's not even involved in this
Mhm.
investigation. Oh,
Yeah,
good lord.
happenstance. And literally, this is literally a piece of evidence. I just said literally too many times.
Vital.
That is
Vital
They
evidence.
took it to trial. They said, "Here's the light." Like, I'm sorry if my bias is showing, but nothing makes me more mad than a defendant not getting a fair trial. And so much of
100%.
this seems like shoddy police work so far.
100%.
Oh God, it gets so much worse.
It's like that John Mulaney skit where they mop up the blood because it's in the way. It's like,
Yes.
might as well have fucking been this investigation.
Yes.
No
And this is fucking
coordinating, no
2022.
proper evidence collection. This is embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
And Boston is a major city.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'm upset.
So things were quiet for a while. Karen Reed's in jail awaiting trial. But Karen Reed had money for a very good lawyer. Probably too good, which makes this whole case crazier and weirder. Her lawyer actually defended people like Harvey Weinstein in a rape case and Kevin Spacey in a sexual assault case. So, like, not great people. And that made things a little louder with this case. And then things got really loud when a blogger started digging into the case and the charges and told the whole world that Karen Reed was being framed. Aiden Kearney, who goes by Turtle Boy on his blog,
Of course he does.
had a lot to say after an alleged tip came in that Karen Reed was innocent. The information came from an anonymous source that John O'Keefe did in fact make it inside the house that night, and that he was dragged out to the road by the people inside at the after party. I'm thinking there is a likelihood of the anonymous tip coming from someone who felt guilty about what they witnessed on the inside, or from someone close to someone on the inside who told them, or even a neighbor of the homeowner, Brian Albert, who witnessed something. But we have to remember that it is also very possible the tip is just a lie made up from someone on Karen's side. Ever since that tip, Turtle Boy has triggered a conspiracy of the exact way the event unfolded that night. He says, Karen drove John O'Keefe to Brian Albert's house. Jen McCabe invited them, and Karen wanted John to double check with Brian if they were okay to be there, so she sent him in while she waited in the car. He didn't come back out or answer his text, so her angry, drunk, jealous girlfriend brain went to, he must be in there cheating on me. And so she left him there and went back to his house, where the angry text messages were continuing. Meanwhile, inside the house, John O'Keefe was getting into a fight with someone. Maybe the homeowner, maybe Brian Higgins, over the fact that Karen and him had shared a kiss recently. Probably not everyone in the house knew the fight was taking place. It likely happened in the basement of the home. But during the fight, either on purpose or on accident, homeowner Brian Albert's German Shepherd dog got involved and started biting John O'Keefe. Maybe it got out of hand and John fell and hit his head. Maybe the men purposely beat John to death. John died or was on the brink of death, so some people in the house dragged him out to the road and planned to claim he was never even inside. The next day, Jen McCabe took Karen directly to the house where John was on the side of the road, but not in her own car, which is still suspicious. Like, why were you in Carrie's car instead of your own? Anyway, Jen and Carrie noticed that Karen's light was broken, so they started to plant a story in her head. Could you have hit him with your car? And when Karen sees him, that's what's on her mind. All of this is speculation, by the way, but this is what the public, and by that I mean TikTok, thinks. This is, 1, 2, 3 truths. This is another possible truth. So to me, it sounds like a stretch. Yeah. Until after Turtle Boy started saying this, the defense found evidence that they believe points to a lot of it being completely true.
What?
And so the defense's belief is that blaming Karen Reed for the crime is a cover-up so that the Boston police don't get into trouble. They don't know how so, but they think this is a cover-up. We now have 3 truths. Which one is the truth? Okay. Let me tell you about the evidence, quote-unquote evidence, that the defense believes proves Karen Reed did not do this.
Okay.
First off, Trooper Proctor got the Ring doorbell footage from John O'Keefe's house to go over. So, investigator gets doorbell footage from this man's victim's house. So, Trooper Proctor and another investigator combed through the footage. When they go through it, they have to take notes. This is what happened at this time. This is what happened at this time.
Well, given their current police work, I'm not confident in what's about to happen.
When the other investigator went through it, he marked all of the comings and goings like he's supposed to, including when Karen got to John's house that night around 12:37 a.m., which we know she did because that's when her phone linked to his home Wi-Fi. Trooper Proctor said the video was there, but it had been deleted somehow, not by him. He doesn't know how. No one knows where it went. That video is completely gone. You know what would be on that video? A damaged taillight, if the damage did in fact happen before she arrived at John's house. But the video's gone. So, who knows? Who knows when her taillight got damaged? Weird. Then, after Karen's car was taken into evidence, It was on video recording at the police impound the whole time. You could, there's video in the impound area. But when the video was played in court, it was jumping forward and missing time, like it had been tampered with. And where does I leave off? It was also mirrored, much like I am seeing myself in this video. So to the jury, it looked like the rear passenger side, which is the side that's broken, was in view enough to see that no one had walked up to it while it was in police custody. But when the defense showed the video, they pointed out that a number on the wall was backwards, meaning they were actually looking at the rear driver's side the whole time. You couldn't see the passenger side to tell if someone had walked up to it and tampered with it. Michael Proctor claimed that he got crumbled up pieces of the taillight off of John O'Keefe's body at the morgue. But defense says, we can't see if you or someone else took those crumbled up pieces right off the car because that part of the car is not in view. Did someone park it like that on purpose?
And we know that's not true.
Who fucking knows?
Well, the other cop says he found them, so...
He did say he found the main big piece. This cop said there's little crumbles on his body.
Also, taillights don't break like that.
Yeah.
They break in chunks. I've broken a couple of taillights in my lifetime. This man is a crumble.
Second bit of circumstantial evidence. Jennifer McCabe said that when Karen found John and was freaking out, Karen asked her, could he be dead? Google how long it takes to die in the cold. This was around 6:30-ish in the morning on the 29th when, they were all together looking for him and found him. So at 6:23 and 51 seconds, Jen searched how long T-I die in CIKD. She's typing fast. It's cold outside. She misspells it. It's fine. How long to die in CIKD? And then again, she hit the search button at 6:23 and 57 seconds. So she hit search. 6 seconds later, she hits search button again. Again, it's cold. It's fine. Same exact search. And then at 6:24 and 18 seconds, so this is like 30 seconds later, she searched Hos long to die in cold. HOS long to die in cold. She pressed the S instead of the W. It's fine. But then the defense pulled her search history from her phone company. And there was another deleted search. At 2:27 and 40 seconds a.m., while Karen Reed was at John O'Keefe's house, Jennifer McCabe's phone searched Hos long to die in cold. The same thing that, she did now in the morning.
Before he was even fucking found.
The defense said that she made that second search while she was with Karen to cover up her tracks from the night before and say that Karen is the reason she searched it. The prosecution says it's just a glitch, basically. Like, they don't know why it says she searched that at 2:27. She didn't. She searched it at 6:24. They don't know why it says that. It's a glitch.
But spelt differently. All right.
No, so she searched 3 times in the morning. She searched one time that she deleted. 3 times in the morning. The first 2 times
but the one
were
that she
way.
deleted was spelt differently.
It was spelled the same way as the third search from the morning. Like, she kept trying to spell it wrong on purpose, like the first time, is what defense says. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, I have to get this right, so if it comes up, that's what the defense says.
Fuck. Okay.
All right. Third weirdness. I mentioned when describing the conspiracy theory that people suspect whatever happened to John O'Keefe happened in the basement. That theory was created because just a while after John's death, the homeowner, Brian Albert, got his basement floor redone. The concrete. It was allegedly only 3 years old, but they had to tear it up and re-pour concrete, supposedly due to flood damage. I don't know how concretes work in Massachusetts, but I'm pretty sure water doesn't do that to concrete. But I'm not a Boston cop, so I wouldn't know. He would know. He would know.
If anyone's wondering what the space is about, I'm screaming internally.
So, also, at some point during a statement from Brian Higgins, the kisser, he mentioned that the people at the party went upstairs, but he has also separately claimed to have never been on the second floor of the Alberts' home. So, upstairs, people believe, meant to the main floor from the basement, kind of admitting that they had hung out in the basement that night. Now, for the circumstantial evidence, John O'Keefe's fitness tracking app showed that he moved up and down stairs multiple times that night while Karen was already at his house, according to her phone connected to the Wi-Fi. The tracker does not say he was inside of of Brian Albert's house, but that's because it doesn't have a specific pinpoint location. It's just a wide whatever. And so the wide whatever is in the neighborhood, yes, but they can't specifically say it was inside of the house. Also, devil's advocate, sometimes just walking on a hilly street will make my Fitbit say that I walked up a flight of stairs.
Mhm.
But still weird. Still weird.
Sometimes
weird.
while I'm sitting, I'm running.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to happen, but this is too coincidental
Yeah.
to
You
be
know
a
what I'm saying
weird
about
Fitbit glitch.
coincidences in true crime. Okay.
You know what they say.
So, also weird, about a year after John O'Keefe died, the homeowners, Nicole and Brian Albert, had their pool on the property filled in, and then they sold the house. Even though it had been in their family for a very long time. Brian Albert and his brother Chris were raised in that house. But they're like, yeah, we don't need a pool anymore. Just fill it in with dirt. Also, this house is now on the market. Who wants it? Floors are redone in the basement.
If I remember understanding houses, a pool is an asset.
Yeah, you
So
would
it doesn't
think.
really make sense to fill it in before selling.
Mm.
Okay.
Weirder still, they rehomed their dog only 5 months after John O'Keefe's death. The German Shepherd that the conspiracy claims bit John O'Keefe. If you look on the drive, the first picture is of John O'Keefe. The second picture is of the records of the text messages from Jennifer McCabe's phone. The third picture is a photo that was used in the trial of John O'Keefe's arm wounds.
It's really unsettling when my internet crashes and then I get a McAfee extend your cyber attack. Like, what happened? Sorry, separate
The
problem.
Boston police are monitoring this video.
Oh, good lord.
Sorry.
Oh, he has kind eyes.
I know, he's so sweet.
He has very kind eyes. Okay. Yeah. All right. I see it. That's weird.
See his wounds? A defense expert, who is a doctor, said that these wounds are consistent with being made by a large dog scratching and biting. 2 FBI vehicle accident reconstructionists, not hired by the defense or the prosecution, so with seemingly no background information to the case, were also shown the images of John O'Keefe's wounds and of Karen Reed's vehicle. They said that the injuries sustained by John were not consistent with being hit by a car, and the damage to the vehicle was not consistent with hitting a pedestrian. So, what the fuck? Listen, I hit a trash can with my car recently, okay?
Forgot about that.
And it was an empty plastic trash can, and the entire bumper of my car and
It's
the
fucked.
spot where the light goes was bent inwards.
Mhm.
That was not a human. That was a fucking trash can. The
Yeah.
only thing wrong with Karen Reed's car is the taillight is broken. So more just straight up character flaw weirdness is that Brian Higgins, the kisser, got a new phone shortly after John O'Keefe died. In doing so, he decided to take out the SIM card of his old phone, break it in half, throw it in the trash, throw the phone itself in a different trash bag, and dump those trash bags into a dumpster on a military base. When he was asked about this by the defense, he claims that that's just the way he gets rid of all of his phones. What? He's
Sure.
like,
All right.
literally, he's sitting on fucking trial, and he's like, you decided to take out your SIM card, break it in half, throw it in the trash, in a different trash bag that you threw away the phone in. And he's like, yeah, I got a new phone. It's like, people don't do that when they get new phones, guy.
No.
Like, what the
I don't
fuck
even
are
think
you
anyone
talking
thinks
about?
about that. That, and usually they keep their SIM
Yeah,
card when you get a new phone.
and their phone. Sell it. They're worth money.
Keep it as a backup in case
Yeah.
you're clumsy like me and
What the
smash
hell?
screens often. I don't get it, man.
I don't
That's
get it. He also said that when he threw away the trash bags in a military base dumpster, he just happened to be driving through the military base with the trash bags in his car. And he's like, oh, look, a dumpster. I can throw these away now. Okay. Also, there's like usually a trash can at your house, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I always drive around with my trash.
Right?
Like, what?
Trooper Michael Proctor, the lead investigator, was sending messages to his sister and his buddies, like I mentioned, and most of these messages were completely inappropriate. Talking about Karen having a leaky ass due to her Crohn's disease, and saying as he went through Karen and John's phones that he hadn't found any nudes yet. Also telling his buddies that Karen is going down for this before he even started the investigation, and that Brian Albert won't get any backlash from a dead body being on his front lawn. He's a Boston cop.
Do him and Karen have a history? Like, did she reject him at some point?
I don't know.
Like, all right.
I don't know.
Like, that's gross behavior for any human, especially a cop.
This was the lead fucking investigator. And
Yeah.
he still works there.
Ugh, he's gross.
They
I
all
hope he
do.
hears this.
They all still work there, except for the one guy the random guy who was their buddy that
happened
found
to be,
yeah, he decided to resign. He's like, I'm actually done. Yeah, everybody else
decided to
good.
Or was forced to.
I don't know. This guy was forced to take a break or whatever. He had to be looked into after all of this came out. He had to go 3 days unpaid. There is so much to this case. I'm probably forgetting some things, but when all of this was heard by a jury, with many setbacks, might I add, because the judge trying this case seemed to me to not want to tarnish the names of the Boston police witnesses too much. So she, sustained a lot of things. You can't, jury, pretend you didn't hear that many times. Anyway, the jury could not come to a decision. They, according to some members, were in agreement that this was not second-degree murder. They did not think Karen hit John O'Keefe on purpose. They also said that they did not think she left the scene of a fatal accident, meaning either she left not knowing it was fatal or she left while he was still alive. But they could not agree on if she had hit him by accident or not. She was drunk and didn't know what happened, while multiple other witnesses agree that John never even came into the house. How could all of those witnesses have their stories straight if it was made up? Surely one of them would turn on the other or get something about the story wrong. Some of the jury believed the conspiracy, while others had faith in the Boston Police Department. So the judge declared a mistrial, and they'll have to do it all over again in a couple months. I know what I think happened, but I feel so strongly and so sad for John O'Keefe's family. They trust in the Boston Police Department. They believe Karen Reed is guilty, and they just want justice for John. They are also so heartbroken that this entire case has become about Karen, because she has very many people on her side. So many that there were protests outside of the courthouse nearly every second of her trial, and loud cheers when they declared a mistrial. This has become the Karen Reed trial, not the John O'Keefe case. And while John O'Keefe is definitely the victim here, I do believe that anyone who may be wrongfully accused, charged, and even worse convicted is also a victim. We just don't know yet if Karen Reed fits that description. So I feel for them, but also we gotta let the evidence take us where it goes. And that is the John O'Keefe case.
Holy shit.
I feel like I've given you a lot to think about.
I'm going to be thinking about it until
Until the
I
next
edit this
trial.
episode. What was
Yeah.
that? That was in English. When is the next trial again?
I believe they had it set for January, middle of January, but then it got delayed. So let me double check. I think they said it was delayed till March now. But John O'Keefe's family is taking her to what's the other court? They're filing a wrongful death suit against Karen Reed. I guess because she was drunk and the one, with him when he died. She can afford it, honestly. Like, just give the family their money. But also, if she didn't do it, that kind of fucking sucks,
Yeah.
When is the next Karen Reed trial? The new trial date is January 27th as of right now. But it says this says it should be delayed. It'll most likely be delayed. So, what a mess that is.
I just don't know what to do with this information. It's one of those like really weird, like Tamla Horsford, like those cases where it's just like so many people are involved and so much isn't adding up and so much is just being like mishandled and brushed around, and it's like he deserved better. Like every person that's a victim of a crime deserves the best possible investigation, of course, but like it's just I don't know. I don't know what I think happened. I think like 5 different things happened.
I think they put him on the side of the road to make it look like he got hit by the snowplow.
Okay.
But that's what some people on TikTok think.
Yeah,
But
that makes sense.
then Karen Reed was like, "Why is my light broken?" And they were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we'll just blame it on her. It's way easier than trying to blame it on a snowplow."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that
But like
again,
you
this is what
said with
TikTok
your
thinks.
own garbage can theory, how much damage was done to your car with an empty garbage can. If Karen had hit him with her car, I think that there would be more than just a broken taillight.
Yes, definitely. Not even, she could have hit him with her car gently on accident backing up and gotten a
Mhm.
broken taillight, and he could have fallen in the snow, and he was drunk as fuck, and then he died because it was cold.
Mhm.
But he
Mhm.
had 2 black eyes, scratches
Yeah.
all over his arms, blunt force trauma to the back of his head. Like,
Yeah.
that didn't come from the car.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't know
just it.
what that came from, but it did not come from the car that only
Yeah,
had
I
a
think
broken
the
taillight.
car is an
And
easy
scratches
out.
on his hands. It seems like
Yeah.
he got into a fight with somebody.
Yeah, immediately when you said scratches, I
Exactly.
was like, defensive wounds.
Yeah. Yeah, you could see it immediately. One of the many first responders on the scene said, "It might have been a fight." Everybody else was like, "Did she just say she hit him with a car?" She hit him with a car, guys. That's what happened. Like, immediately.
Yeah, something stinks. Because they're all in law enforcement, they definitely have the means and the motive to wrap it up quickly.
Yeah,
So, I think they're using her as the scapegoat.
I agree. In my brain, like, what comes to me, and this is just my own speculation, and it could be wildly wrong. I feel like they were all at the bar. Jen McCabe knows John O'Keefe and Karen.
Mhm.
She's like, "Oh my gosh, my friends are here. You know, we're all drunk, having fun, whatever." She's like, "You guys should come back to the house." On the way back to the house, Brian Higgins, talking to his best friend Brian Albert, was like, "Dude, that's the girl that ghosted me. Like, that bitch is a fucking, you know, whatever. Fucking hate that girl." You know, they all get to the house. Karen's like, "Something feels weird. Why don't you go in and make sure we're actually supposed to be here?" John goes in and is like, "Hey, Jen said we could come over. Is this cool?" And Brian are like, "Yeah, bud, you can come in, but that bitch can't come in." And he's like, "Whoa," because he's a good guy. John O'Keefe's a
Oh,
great guy.
yeah,
Don't talk about her like that.
defending his lady,
And
yeah.
then Brian Higgins is like, "What do you mean? You know that we fucking made out at your house 2 weeks ago." Fight starts.
Yeah.
And then the rest is the rest.
Well, as soon as you said that they were all gonna be in the same house, I'm like, "This is gonna be a testosterone party," and I'm almost certain that they're gonna fight over her. Ugh, that's awful. Either way, that's awful.
It is. I don't know what
And
happened, but it's not good. And
right, and
those
it's like,
fucking
even if
kids.
something bad happened and they just put him in the snow, like
Those fucking
yeah, like
kids.
his niece and nephew, yeah.
Mm,
That's far too much loss and far too little time for
yeah. Mm, I hate it so
my
much.
heart. So, I hope that at some point somebody talks because we do not have all the information.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that. What are you excited for? Grateful for, thankful for? Tell me
You
something
never
happy.
ask me these. Wow, this is weird. Um, as we are recording this, it is the day before or the week before Christmas rather, and I am feeling just very excited about that. Very excited to celebrate. I'm very excited that my grandma is here again this year celebrating with us.
Yay!
So, lots of fun family stuff, lots of warmth. That's what I'm excited about. And more Christmas mules.
Yeah.
What about you?
I just booked our accommodations for my Christmas trip. I'm super excited. It's
I
gonna
can't wait
be
to
a
see
lot of
photos
fun.
and hear all about it.
Yeah, there's actually 2 places we found out. So, Helen, Georgia is like a little hallmarky Christmas village, you know? It looks like Germantown, but it's in the middle of Georgia. Well, not in the middle, in North Georgia. And about 30 minutes away from Helen, Georgia is a place called Dahlonega, Georgia. There we go. A place called Dahlonega, Georgia, who I guess has kind of piggybacked off of Helen, and they have like uh the record for putting up the most lights in their city. So we get to
Oh,
go
and
through
it's
there and just see
so
all those lights
cute.
too. Yeah,
Oh, so
I'm
pretty.
so excited.
It looks like a beautiful little historic town. And on that note, this has come out after Christmas, even though we're super excited about all of the Christmassy stuff. But we hope that, our listeners and their families all had a safe and happy and healthy Christmas. And we
And New
hope to
Year.
see, yeah. And let us know your resolutions. Let us know anything fun that you did. Say hey. We're excited for 2025.
Yes.
And on that note, we will see you next week for our serial killer episode. And in the meantime, keep
Keep it
it
twisted.
twisted. Twisted and Uncorked is a proud member of Weirding Way Media. Hosted and produced by Sierra Zorn and Alicia Watson. If you like the show, don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word. You can check out all things Twisted on our website, twistedanduncorked.com, and we will see you next Tuesday for a brand new episode.